welcome to the podcast. Today is a little bit different. We have kind of a current news topic, which is, I think, significant, more significant than you think. So I live in Metro Detroit, and the UAW has decided to go on strike. And I put out a podcast yesterday, kind of hinting towards this was going to happen. Just because my thought was the ask from the UAW was huge. 46% pay increase in a 32-hour work week, being full-time, with, you know, a huge increase in benefits and retirement and things like that. Now, I live in Metro Detroit. I've seen these strikes happen with some frequency. I don't know much about union contracts. All I know is what I read in the newspaper and what I've looked outside and seen out my window from striking workers, because I lived close to a manufacturing plant, automotive manufacturing plant, and I've seen some of these, I don't know, some brutal, strong-handed tactics from the union, which was acceptable at the time. I don't think it's acceptable today. I don't think people have the tolerance for that, but we'll see as this strike continues. We'll see what happens. Now, I think the union is correct in the point that their workers are underpaid. Many years ago, before the automotive downturn, the automotive folks within the union were making a lot of money. They were doing very well. They were compensated well. They had fantastic benefits. They had record incentives. They were well compensated. Now, when the automotive downturn hit, the unions essentially took a step back. They did concessions. So the workers then started making a lot less money, but the government came in and kind of bailed out the automotive industry. Otherwise, it would have went belly up. That's a whole nother topic. But what happened is it kind of reset the pay. I'm not sure it's gained much traction since then. So they're kind of stuck in. And on top of that, the union kind of has lost their teeth. The manufacturing industry has moved their plants out of the country. They've moved them to locations where there are no unions, down south in southern U.S., or they've moved them to Mexico, or they've moved them overseas where, okay, we're avoiding labor costs whatsoever. Labor costs are minimal. Any company, biggest cost is actually going to be labor. I've worked in the people industry for 30 years. I would actually love to negotiate and be involved in negotiating this deal. First of all, I kind of fight both sides a bit. The CEO of GM, I want to say her reported W-2 in 2022 last year was over $29 million. So I think the average UAW worker, I think the hourly wage is $20 an hour walking in. And this is just what I read, so I could be totally wrong. So that kind of roughly translates to $55,000-$60,000 a year. So it's hard to swallow when you're a line worker working in a factory, making $50,000-$60,000 a year, and you see your CEO telling you to work harder, and she's making $29 million plus a year. And they're making record profits. So I think they do need, I think the automotive industry needs to kind of be less greedy and come back. But what ends up happening is you force the automotive industry into pushing it further, meaning they've made record profits. Okay. They want to keep their stock up. They want to keep their incentives up. All the people that are fighting and doing these things want to keep those revenues high. What do? They're going to move the plants to Mexico or foreign countries. They're going to bring in automation to kind of eliminate workers. I think that's going to be forced. So they have to have this balancing act. It's got to be a balancing act, and they can't push them too far. Like, I don't think, while the union today has the leverage, I think if they use their leverage too much, they're going to force the automotive industry out of business, or more so, they're going to force blue collar labor kind of out of the U.S. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm often wrong. Tell me what you think. You probably have a lot more experience than I do. Let me know what you think. And if you can get me involved in negotiating this deal, I'll do it.